Interpersonal communication occurs anytime people exchange messages when they express their opinions, ask and answer questions, share how they feel, or talk about what they like and dislike. Whenever we talk to friends, parents, children, teachers, employers, waiters, doctors, sales clerks, in short, anyone, we are communicating interpersonally. In this chapter, you will learn techniques of effective interpersonal communication that will help you feel confident about yourself and your interactions with others. When you complete this chapter, you will be able to, firstly, avoid many miscommunications and misunderstandings with others. Secondly, avoid jumping to conclusions and making assumptions. Thirdly, use a variety of communication styles. Fourthly, prepare for a successful job interview, and finally, plan and participate in a job interview role play. First, let's see what is miscommunications. Misunderstandings happen to everyone. They occur between friends, coworkers, and family members. Communication breakdowns can be as harmless as showing up for an appointment a half hour early, or as inconvenient as waiting in the rain for 2 hours for someone who never shows up. They can be as devastating as a broken relationship or a divorce. They can even be a matter of life and death. For example, a failure to communicate fuel shortages and other mechanical problems has been the cause of some airline disasters. Secondly, why do miscommunications happen? Miscommunications often occur because listeners assume they understand what a speaker means, when, in fact, the speaker had intended a completely different meaning from what was understood. Another major problem is jumping to conclusions and making assumptions. The tendency to jump to conclusions and make assumptions when we don't have enough information is a great barrier to interpersonal communication. It can create animosity between people, cause hardship or embarrassment, and even destroy friendships. So, in good communication skills, we need to be very careful that we are understood the way we intend. Dr. Joseph Wolpe, a South African psychiatrist, described 3 interpersonal communication approaches. The first is called the aggressive style. The second is called the submissive style. The third approach is the one Dr. Wolpe recommended above all the others. He referred to it as the assertive style. People who use the aggressive style of communication appear to be somewhat belligerent, but deliver their messages in loud, often hostile voices, conveying the impression that they believe their opinions and feelings are more important than anyone else's. Intentionally or unintentionally, aggressive communicators tend to embarrass, insult, or intimidate their listeners in order to get their way. People who use the submissive style of communication appear to put themselves last and seem to consider themselves inferior to others. This style encourages others to disregard their needs and to take advantage of them. Intentionally or unintentionally, submissive communicators often don't get what they want because they don't stand up for themselves. In contrast, people who use the assertive communication style appear to have a healthy self-image. They express their wishes clearly and directly, thus conveying the impression that they expect their rights to be respected and that they, in turn, respect the rights of others. Assertive speakers appear to be positive, fair, and self-confident. Being aware of these 3 interpersonal communication styles will help you recognize your usual style and that of the people you know. With practice, you can become more skillful at using an Assertive style in your interactions with others. Now, let's look at one example. The context is very simple. A smoker asks if you object to his or her smoking in your car. You are allergic to smoke? An aggressive response is, yes, I most certainly do object. You are very rude and inconsiderate to even consider subjecting me to secondhand smoke. I refuse to allow smoking in my car. A submissive response is, I'm allergic, but no problem. It's fine if you really want to. An assertive response is, thank you for asking. I'd prefer you didn't. It really bothers me. Would you like me to pull over so you could smoke a cigarette outside? I'd be happy to stop whenever you like it. Which one of the responses will suit you the best? Of course, mostly the assertive response because assertive speakers appear to be positive, fair, and self-confident. Let's do an exercise now. For the given context, read all the 3 responses and identify the right type of response. Check your answers now. Got them right? Try the second one. Check your answers now. Got them right? Now that we are done with all types of responses, let's pass on to interpersonal communications during a job interview. A job interview is a meeting between a job applicant and a person of authority working for the company or business. The meeting occurs because the business has a job opening. People apply for the job. The company decides whom it will hire. Good interpersonal communication skills are particularly important when you are being interviewed for a job. Questions and answers between the applicant and the employer form the basis of most job interviews. Employers ask applicants a series of questions to decide who would be the best person for the job. Most job interviews will also provide an opportunity for applicants to ask the employer questions about the job or company. Look at the list of questions here. Find out the questions that employers and applicants might ask. Now check your answers. Got them right? Let's move on to the job interview behavior. The impression you make on your interviewer will be based on more than your answers to the interview questions. A large part of making a good impression results from your interpersonal communication, appearance, and behavior. These include your clothing, posture, body language, and facial expressions. Read the following job interview behaviors. Then write them in the dos and don'ts. Now check your answers. Got them right? Let's now watch a real interview. Watch carefully and note the questions and answers of this interview.
Listen to Yolanda's interview with Mrs. Manning. Pay attention to Mrs. Manning's questions and Yolanda's answers.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Manning. Are you here for an interview?
Yes, Mrs. Manning. My name is Yolanda Soul. I'm here to interview for the part-time bookkeeper position you advertised in the newspaper.
It's nice to meet you, Miss Soul. Please have a seat. Did you have any trouble finding the office?
No trouble at all. I left early to beat the traffic, and my car's GPS directed me perfectly.
I'm happy to hear that. So, Miss Soul, please tell me a little about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from Mexico and moved here 3 years ago. I'm majoring in math at the university and hope to become an accountant.
That's good. Why do you feel you are qualified for this job?
Well, I'm very good with numbers. I earned A's in algebra, calculus, and statistics. I'm very careful when I do math calculations, and I pay close attention to details. Oh, and of course, I have excellent computer skills.
What languages do you speak?
I speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English. My father is Mexican and my mother is Brazilian. I would be able to communicate with many of your customers who don't speak English.
You have an interesting background. Let me ask you, Miss Soul, what do you consider to be your greatest strength?
I firmly believe in the saying, "A stitch in time saves 9." I don't like to procrastinate. When something must be done, I do it right away. I don't wait until a little problem becomes a big one that is much harder to fix.
Thank you. And what do you consider to be your weaknesses?
Actually, I can think of 2. I'm a little shy and nervous about speaking in public. I'm currently taking a speech class to help with that. Also, I'm maybe too much of a perfectionist. I get impatient with people who make mistakes. I'm working on being more flexible and patient with others.
That sounds like an honest answer. Tell me, why do you want to work for us?
As I mentioned, I hope to become an accountant. Working as your bookkeeper would be very interesting and motivating for me. It would give me excellent experience to help me when I study accounting.
Well, Miss Soul, I have all the information I need. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Mrs. Manning, I have 2. The newspaper said the job was part-time in the afternoons. Is it 5 days a week?
No, Miss Soul. It's 3 afternoons a week from 1 to 5 p.m. Is that a problem?
No, that's perfect. I can schedule my classes in the morning. I also wonder, when can I expect your decision about the job?
Well, Miss Soul, you seem very mature and responsible. You won't be like some workers who wait for the cat to be away so the mice can play. I see I can trust you to work with minimal supervision. Congratulations! The job is yours. Please be here Monday at 1 p.m.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Manning. It was very nice meeting you. I'll see you on Monday.
We are now in our final segment. Pronunciation practice with correct intonation. Intonation refers to the use of melody and the rise and fall of the voice when speaking. It helps you convey your message effectively. For example, falling intonation at the end of a statement can mean that you have finished speaking. If you use rising intonation at the end of an utterance, you might unintentionally confuse your listeners into thinking that you have more to say. Now let's listen to these sentences. Note the use of falling and rising intonation.
Listen and repeat the sentences. Be sure to use correct rising and falling intonation. 1,
I don't like cookies, but I love cake.
2,
He's good at math, but not spelling.
3,
I'll play golf with you, but not your friend.
4,
I need an umbrella so I don't get wet.
5,
I bought a blouse and a pair of shoes.
6,
Let's go to the beach if it's sunny and hot.
7,
Do your homework before you go to the party.
8.
I couldn't finish my project because I was sick.
9.
It doesn't matter if you arrive in the morning or at night.
10.
When their parents are away, the teenagers don't behave well.
So, that's all, gentlemen. Now it's your turn. Prepare yourself to face an interview. Make all your answers ready and be very confident. Practice your role play with your partner. Record it and listen to it at least twice and correct your mistakes. All the best.